In this video titled, Trump Pulls the US Out of Paris Again. What happens now? We dive into the significant implications of a decision that echoes through the halls of climate policy. We'll explore the historical context of the 2020 withdrawal that marked a pivotal moment in US environmental commitment, as well as the ongoing criticism and concerns surrounding the nation's climate efforts. As we unravel the potential consequences on greenhouse gas emissions, we'll also highlight the contrasting reactions from fossil fuel advocates and regions that continue to pledge their commitment to climate action. Finally, we'll discuss the broader ramifications for international climate cooperation, legal challenges, and the future of the renewable energy sector in light of the Biden administration's promise to rejoin the Paris Agreement. 1. The 2020 withdrawal. A historical first. In November 2020, the Trump administration made headlines with a move that shocked the world. The United States formally notified the United Nations of its decision to exit the Paris Agreement. This action marked the first time any country decided to leave this landmark climate accord, which was established to combat global warming. The Paris Agreement, signed by nearly every nation, aims to limit the increase in global temperatures to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Trump's withdrawal sent ripples across the globe, raising questions about the future of international climate cooperation. The decision was seen by many as a significant step backward in the fight against climate change. 2. Criticism and concerns over climate effort. Critics of the withdrawal were quick to voice their concerns, arguing that the move undermined global efforts to combat climate change. The U.S., being one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gases, plays a crucial role in the success of the Paris Agreement. By stepping away, the U.S. set a concerning precedent for other nations that might consider following suit. Environmentalists feared that this decision would stall progress in reducing carbon emissions, making it harder to achieve the climate targets set by the agreement. The absence of the U.S. was seen as a potential blow to the collective international effort needed to address the urgent threat of climate change. 3. Impact on greenhouse gas emissions. The withdrawal of the U.S. from the Paris Agreement raised alarms about the potential increase in greenhouse gas emissions. Without the commitment to the accord, there was a real fear that emissions would rise unchecked. The U.S. had previously pledged to reduce its emissions by 26–28% from 2005 levels by 2025, a goal that seemed increasingly difficult to achieve without federal support. Scientists and environmentalists warned that the lack of U.S. participation could lead to a significant gap in global emission reduction efforts, potentially pushing the world closer to the brink of catastrophic climate change. 4. A celebration for fossil fuel advocates. While many decried the decision to leave the Paris Agreement, it was celebrated by fossil fuel advocates who viewed it as a win for energy independence. These supporters argued that the accord placed undue restrictions on the U.S. economy, particularly on industries such as coal, oil, and natural gas. They believed that exiting the agreement would allow the U.S. to focus on domestic energy production without international constraints. This perspective highlighted the ongoing debate between environmental protection and economic interests, with the withdrawal seen as a victory for those favoring the latter. 5. States and cities pledge continued commitment. Despite the federal withdrawal, many U.S. states and cities vowed to uphold their commitments to the Paris Agreement. Governors and mayors across the nation declared their intentions to continue pursuing climate goals, independently of the federal government's stance. This grassroots movement underscored the determination of local leaders to address climate change, emphasizing the power of subnational actions in the absence of federal leadership. States like California and New York took proactive measures, implementing policies to reduce emissions and promote renewable energy, demonstrating that the fight against climate change could persist at the state level. 6. Sparking discussions on international climate cooperation. The U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Agreement sparked widespread discussions about the future of international climate negotiations and cooperation. Many questioned how the world could move forward without the active participation of one of its largest emitters. The decision prompted reflections on the strength and adaptability of the Paris framework, as well as the need for stronger commitments from other nations. It also reignited debates on the necessity of binding agreements versus voluntary pledges, and how to ensure accountability in the global effort to address climate change. 7. Legal challenges and environmental advocacy. In response to the withdrawal, environmental groups and activists launched legal challenges to protect climate policies at the state level. These groups sought to ensure that states could continue implementing their own climate initiatives without federal interference. Legal actions were seen as necessary to safeguard progress made in reducing emissions and transitioning to renewable energy sources. Activists argued that the fight against climate change required a multifaceted approach, involving both legal and political strategies to maintain momentum and prevent backsliding on environmental protections. 8. Long-term economic impacts in the renewable energy sector. The withdrawal from the Paris Agreement had potential long-term economic impacts, particularly in the renewable energy sector. Critics argued that stepping away from the accord could hinder the growth of this burgeoning industry, which had been gaining momentum in recent years. The renewable energy sector, which includes solar, wind, and other clean technologies, relies on supportive policies and investments. The lack of federal commitment raised concerns about the future competitiveness of the U.S. in the global renewable energy market. As other countries continued to advance their green technologies, there was a fear that the U.S. might be left behind in this crucial economic transition. 9. The Biden administration's promise to rejoin. In the wake of the Trump administration's withdrawal, the Biden administration announced plans to rejoin the Paris Agreement and recommit to climate goals. This decision signaled a shift in U.S. policy, emphasizing the importance of international collaboration in addressing climate change. President Biden's commitment to re-enter the accord was welcomed by environmentalists and world leaders alike, who saw it as a crucial step in revitalizing global climate efforts. The move underscored the administration's dedication to prioritizing climate action and re-establishing the U.S. as a leader in the fight against global warming.